Can I be completely honest with you for a minute? There's a lie that most men are taught their entire lives. A lie that sounds nice, a lie that feels fair. But a lie that is quietly sabotaging your dating life. That lie is that women only chase the guys they're already interested in. That attraction is a logical choice. That if you're just nice enough, charming enough, and show her enough attention, she'll eventually see what a great guy you are. I'm here to tell you, as a woman, that's not just wrong, it's the reason so many good men finish last. The truth is, a woman can go from being completely neutral about you to feeling an undeniable pull, a craving for your attention, if you know how to speak the language of her instincts. Not her logic. Attraction isn't a decision she makes. It's an emotion she feels. And when you learn how to spark that emotional drive, you can flip the script in a way most men don't even believe is possible. Here's the secret. We don't chase men because of their looks, their money, or even how nice they are. We chase men who fundamentally shift the power dynamic. A woman on a deep, instinctual level wants to feel like she has to earn your full attention. She wants the challenge. She wants to feel like you are a prize to be won, not a gift that's freely handed out. And that is where almost every man gets it wrong. You spend all your time trying to prove yourself to her, instead of creating a dynamic where she feels a natural, compelling urge to start proving herself to you. Now, before you roll your eyes, I want to be clear. This is not about playing childish games. It's not about being a jerk or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about understanding female psychology on a level that goes beyond what we say we want. It's about creating that potent mix of curiosity, uncertainty, and challenge that makes you stand out from every other man trying to win her over. It's the reason why the guys women complain about the most are often the ones they can't stop thinking about. In today's video, I'm pulling back the curtain. I'm going to break down exactly how to make a woman chase you, even if she seems lukewarm right now. We'll dive into the psychology behind it, the specific behaviors that flip her attraction switch, and the mindset that separates the men who get pursued from the men who get left on read. By the end of this, you will understand exactly why your old strategy never worked, and how to reverse the game so she starts chasing you. 1. The power of pulling away. Alright, let's start with the single biggest mistake I see good men make, time and time again. It's a mistake born from a good heart, but it is absolutely lethal to attraction. It's the belief that more is always better. More attention, more compliments, more availability. The average guy thinks that if he just floods a woman with positive reinforcement, if he's always there, always ready to talk, always showering her with affection, that eventually she'll have an epiphany and realize how much he cares. He thinks he can convince her to feel something through sheer force of presence. But as a woman, I have to tell you the brutal, honest truth that your female friends never will. That's not how desire works. In fact, you're achieving the exact opposite. Constant, unearned attention doesn't create attraction. It creates pressure. It feels heavy. It removes all challenge, and in doing so, it removes all excitement. It's based on a deep misunderstanding of a fundamental law of human nature. The principle of scarcity. We are all wired, men and women, to place a higher value on things that are rare, and a lower value on things that are abundant. It's why gold is more valuable than sand. It's why you want the limited edition sneakers, not the ones everyone has. This isn't a conscious choice, it's a deep-seated instinct. When you make your attention endlessly abundant, you are subconsciously telling her that it has no value. You become predictable. She knows she can have your validation anytime she wants, so she stops craving it. There's no tension, no anticipation. But the moment you pull away, the moment you show her that your time and focus are scarce resources that must be earned, her entire perception of you changes. Pulling away creates space. And in that space, two magical things happen. First, you give her something most men don't: uncertainty. Her brain, which had comfortably filed you away as the nice guy who's always available, suddenly has a problem to solve. A question mark appears. She starts to wonder. Wait, why isn't he texting me back right away? Why isn't he chasing me like all the others? What's he doing that's more important than me? That question, that single seed of curiosity, is the absolute foundation of desire. She has to think about you. And the more she thinks about you, the more emotional real estate you occupy in her mind. Second, that space gives her room to lean in. If you're always pushing your attention onto her, her only natural reaction is to lean back. But when you create a vacuum, she will feel a natural pull to fill it. She'll be the one to reach out. She'll be the one to wonder what you're up to. You've flipped the script without saying a word. Now, let's be crystal clear about what pulling away really means. This is not about playing immature games. It is not about ghosting her for a week to punish her. That's not high-value behavior, that's just childish. True power in pulling away is authentic. It's about genuinely prioritizing your own life. It's about ending a great conversation first, because you have to get up early for the gym. It's about not being able to see her on Friday night, because you have plans with your friends that you made a week ago. It's about showing her, through your actions, that your world is already full, exciting, and complete, and you are inviting her to be a part of it, not making her the center of it. That is the difference between playing hard to get and being hard to get. One is a tactic. The other is a lifestyle. And women can feel the difference from a mile away. 2. Mystery and unpredictability. One of the most potent psychological triggers in all of human attraction is mystery. If a woman feels like she has you completely figured out on the first or second date, her interest will begin to fade almost immediately. Why? Because human beings, and women in particular, are drawn to puzzles. We are captivated by challenges and intrigued by the unknown. Curiosity is the engine of emotional investment. When her mind is engaged in trying to figure you out, her emotions have no choice but to follow. Most men suffer from what I call the open book syndrome. Out of a desire to build a quick connection, or maybe from a place of insecurity, they lay all their cards on the table immediately. They unload their entire life story, their biggest dreams, their deepest fears, their exact feelings about her, all within the first few conversations. They believe that this radical honesty will make her feel safe and connected. While the intention is good, the result is catastrophic for attraction. A woman doesn't want a man who is an open book she can read in one sitting. She wants a gripping novel she can't put down, with layers she has to peel back over time. Each interaction should reveal a little more, but also hint at how much more there is to discover. This doesn't mean you should lie, be deceptive, or play games. It simply means you should let her discover you, instead of presenting yourself on a platter. It's about pacing the reveal. This is where unpredictability becomes your greatest ally. Predictability is the silent killer of excitement. If she knows you'll text her, "Good morning," every single day at 8 a.m., it stops being a sweet gesture and becomes expected. It becomes background noise. But if one day you do, and the next two you don't, that simple change in pattern makes her notice the absence. It makes her wonder. Unpredictability keeps her brain engaged in a state of anticipation, and this has a real neurological effect. It creates a dopamine loop. Dopamine, the feel-good chemical in our brain, is released not when we get a reward, but in anticipation of a potential reward. When you are unpredictable, her brain is constantly anticipating that next hit of your attention, that next interesting conversation. You literally become a source of a chemical high for her. So how do you do this in practice? It's in the way you communicate. Instead of answering every question with a direct, factual answer with a story or a playful deflection. If she asks what you do for a living, don't just say, "I'm an accountant." Say, "I spend my days making sure people who are much richer than me stay that way." It's not as exciting as being a secret agent, but the paperwork is surprisingly similar. It's in the way you plan dates. Instead of the boring dinner and a movie, surprise her. Take her to an archery range, a weird art exhibit, or a cooking class. Do something that breaks the pattern. It's in your energy. Don't always be the super enthusiastic, agreeable guy. It's okay to be calm, a little reserved, even slightly challenging at times. Remember, women don't fantasize about the man they can fully control and predict. They fantasize about the man they can't quite pin down, the one who is a little bit of a puzzle, the one who keeps them guessing. That is the man who stays in her thoughts long after the date is over. 3. The psychology of absence. Here is one of the most counterintuitive, yet powerful, truths about attraction you will ever hear. A woman often feels the strongest pull toward a man precisely when he isn't around. It sounds completely backward, I know. Most men operate on the principle of out of sight, out of mind. They confuse constant presence with creating value. They think, if I'm always around, always texting her, always in her space, she'll know I care. And she'll feel secure. But what actually happens is the opposite. She stops noticing you. Your constant presence becomes the new normal. Her brain has no reason to long for you, to wonder about you, or to miss you, because you have never given her the space to do so. You've smothered the spark with your availability. Absence, on the other hand, creates a powerful psychological vacuum, and her mind will instinctively rush to fill that vacuum with thoughts of you. The more she thinks about you, the more she feels about you. This works because absence leverages two potent psychological forces: scarcity and imagination. We've already touched on scarcity, but let's apply it here. When you are not always available, she begins to appreciate the moments when you are. Your presence is no longer a given she can take for granted. It becomes an event. A date with you feels more special because it's not something she can have every single night. Your time becomes more valuable because it's limited. But the real magic happens with imagination. This is where you let her do the work for you. When you're not there, her brain doesn't just shut off. It starts to wonder. It starts to create narratives. What's he doing right now? Who is he with? I bet he's having fun. She might replay your last conversation, remembering a joke you made. She might start to romanticize the way you looked at her. This process of idealization is incredibly powerful. The version of you she constructs in her mind during your absence is often even more attractive and compelling than the real thing. You are letting her sell herself on the idea of you. Think about it. We've all seen it. A woman who seems completely bored with the guy who smothers her with attention, but stays utterly fixated on the man who seems slightly out of reach. The one who is busy with his own life. That's not a coincidence. It's psychology in action. So how do you use this without being a jerk? Again, this is not about ghosting or playing games. It's about balance and pacing. If you've been on 3 great dates in 1 week, that's great. But don't immediately try to book a 4th and a 5th. Take a few days. Let her feel the silence. Let her be the first one to text saying, "Hey, I had a great time the other night." If you've been texting back and forth stop for a day, be the one to end it. "Hey, it was great chatting, but I've got to focus on this project. Talk soon." You've just created a small, healthy dose of absence. The key is self-control. When you feel her pull away slightly, the average man panics. His instinct is to chase harder, to double down on contact, to ask, "Is everything okay?" That needy behavior only accelerates her detachment. The high-value man understands this dynamic. He doesn't panic. He gives her the space she's asking for, confident that the absence will do more to bring her back than his desperate words ever could. Remember, if you're always there, you're just background noise. If you're strategically absent, your presence becomes an event she looks forward to. 4. Silence as a powerful tool. Most men are terrified of silence. They see it as a failure, a void, an awkward gap in the conversation that must be filled immediately with a question, a joke, or a compliment. In a text exchange, a period of silence is seen as a sign of her losing interest, a crisis that requires immediate action. But what if I told you that silence, when used correctly, is one of an attractive man's most powerful tools? That it can communicate more confidence, strength, and intrigue than anything you could ever say. When you go silent, a woman doesn't just hear nothing. She feels it. She feels the absence of your validation. She notices the lack of your messages. Silence isn't empty. It's full of meaning that her brain immediately starts trying to decode. And this is where the magic happens. Women are emotional creatures, and we have a natural tendency to analyze and overthink social dynamics. When you're silent, you are handing her a blank canvas. She will begin to paint on it with her own thoughts, her own insecurities, her own curiosity. She'll start replaying past conversations. She'll analyze your behavior. She'll question where she stands with you. That internal process creates emotional tension. And as we've said, emotional tension is the fuel of attraction. Contrast this with the man who never stops talking. The man who double texts, who fills every pause with nervous chatter. He makes himself completely predictable. He gives her no space to wonder, no mystery to solve. She knows she can have his attention 24/7, so it becomes worthless. There's no tension, no excitement. Silence, on the other hand, introduces that delicious uncertainty we talked about. And uncertainty makes her invest more of her own mental and emotional energy into you. But here is the absolute key: silence must be intentional and grounded, not anxious or punitive. It's not about giving her the silent treatment, like a child to punish her. That's weak. It's about understanding timing and power dynamics. For example, if she says something to test you, maybe a slightly rude or dismissive comment, the average man will immediately try to argue, explain himself, or win her back. He'll fill the space with words. The powerful move: say nothing. Just look at her with a calm, slightly amused expression. Let the silence do the work. It communicates. Far better than words. That doesn't affect me. You'll have to try harder than that. You've held your frame and passed her test. If she pulls back and her texting becomes slow, instead of chasing harder and asking, "What's wrong?" you simply mirror her behavior. You go silent too. You give her the space she's asking for. This isn't a game, it's a reflection. It shows you are not desperate for her validation, and your world doesn't stop when she's not paying attention to you. Think of silence as a mirror. When you withhold your words, it forces her to look at her own behavior. If she values the connection, she will feel the void and move to close it. She will reach out. If she doesn't value it, then your silence has simply revealed the truth and saved you a lot of time and energy. Either way, you win. 5. The fear of replacement. Now, let's talk about one of the deepest, most primal triggers in female psychology. It's something that operates below the level of conscious thought, but it has a profound impact on a woman's behavior and desire. It's the fear of being replaced. When a woman feels, even subconsciously, that she is the absolute center of your universe, that she is your only option for happiness and romance, she can begin to take you for granted. Why wouldn't she? There is no urgency. There is no risk. She has all the power. But the moment she senses that your world will not collapse without her, the moment she realizes that you are a man with options and that you could, and would, move on, her entire behavior changes. Suddenly there is urgency. Suddenly there is competition. This isn't because women are malicious. It's because we are competitive by nature, especially when it comes to attention from a high-value man. Even if a woman isn't sure she wants a serious relationship with you, the thought of another woman getting your attention, the thought of another woman taking her place, can stir up powerful emotions she didn't even know she had. It sparks jealousy, curiosity, and a powerful sense of urgency. She starts asking herself, what if he really doesn't need me? What if another woman sees the value in him that I overlooked? That fear, that simple fear of loss, can pull her closer and make her work harder for your attention than any sweet words or desperate gestures ever could. Now, let me be extremely clear about how to apply this. This does not mean you should play cheap, transparent games. Don't constantly try to flaunt other women in her face or make up stories to make her jealous. That looks insecure, needy, and will backfire spectacularly. What I'm talking about is a subtle, powerful shift in your energy. It's about cultivating a genuine abundance mentality. It's an energy that says, without words, I enjoy my time with you immensely, but my happiness, my self-worth, and my mission in life are not dependent on you. I am a man who has value, and I trust in my ability to attract what I want. She feels this in the way you carry yourself. She feels it when you remain calm and unaffected when she pulls away. She feels it when you don't beg or plead when she acts cold. She feels it when you spend your weekend working on your business, going to the gym, or hanging out with your friends, instead of waiting by the phone for her to text. That is when the fear of replacement kicks in organically. She starts to realize that your attention is a privilege, not a right. The average man does the opposite. He tries to convince a woman not to leave. He tries to lock her down and eliminate any risk. But that's backward. The more you try to secure her, the less secure she feels about you. She subconsciously thinks, if he's trying this hard to hold on to me, he must not have any other options. A woman wants to feel like she has to work to keep you. She can only feel that way if she believes, on a deep level, that you are not afraid to let her go. And that fear of replacement doesn't always have to be about other women. Sometimes the most threatening, other woman, is your purpose, your mission, or the exciting life you've built for yourself. 6. The power of mystery, pacing the revealed. We touched on mystery earlier, but I want to dedicate a whole section to it because it is one of the most underrated and misunderstood tools a man has. And honestly, most men destroy all sense of mystery within the first week of meeting a woman without even realizing it. They get excited, they feel a connection, and then they proceed to unload their entire life story. Every past relationship, every thought, every feeling, every plan for the future. They believe that this extreme openness equals a deep connection. But in reality, overexposure kills intrigue. As I said before, women are naturally curious. We are drawn to what we don't fully understand. That's why a little mystery is so intoxicating. It leaves room for our imagination to work. And when a woman's imagination is engaged, she is actively investing her own thoughts and emotions into the process of figuring you out. She is co-creating the attraction with you. That is what makes her feel an intense pull, often without even knowing why. Think of it like a great movie trailer. A good trailer gives you a taste of the action, the emotion, the plot. It hooks you. It makes you desperate to see the full movie. A bad trailer shows you all the best scenes, reveals all the plot twists, and tells you how it ends. After watching it, you feel like you don't even need to see the movie. Most men are bad movie trailers. If a woman knows everything there is to know about you within the first few dates, what's left for her to discover? Where is the intrigue? The mystery is gone, and soon the excitement follows. But if she feels like you are layered, like there is a depth to you, that she has only scratched the surface of, she will lean in. She will become an active participant in the discovery process. She'll ask more questions. She'll wonder what you're thinking. She'll try to interpret your actions. That is attraction being built in real time. Again, let's be clear, this is not about being secretive, dishonest, or manipulative. Mystery isn't about hiding who you are. It's about pacing the reveal. You don't over-explain yourself. You don't rush to justify every decision you make. You don't feel the need to give her a minute-by-minute account of your day. You reveal yourself slowly, piece by piece, as she earns the right to know more about you. That careful pacing is what keeps her hooked. Here's a simple, practical example. She asks you what you did last weekend. The average man says, "Oh, on Saturday I went to the gym. Then I did my laundry. And at night I met up with my friends Tom and Dave at this bar. And we had a few beers and talked about sports. It was pretty fun. On Sunday I just relaxed and watched Netflix." He has just given her a complete boring breakdown. There is no mystery. The attractive man says, "I got into a little bit of trouble on Saturday, but it was worth it. Sunday was for recovery. That's it." His answer is intriguing, a little playful, and leaves a dozen questions in her mind. What kind of trouble? Who was he with? What did he have to recover from? He has sparked her curiosity and invited her to ask more. He has turned a boring question into a fun, engaging interaction. That's the power of pacing the reveal. Be a great movie, not a bad trailer. 7. The chase dynamic. How to maintain her pursuit long term. So, you've applied these principles. You've pulled back, you've created mystery, and you've successfully flipped the script. She's leaning in. She's chasing you. Congratulations. You've won the first battle. But if you want to win the war, you have to understand how to maintain the chase dynamic for the long term. This is where most men, even the ones who get it right initially, eventually fail. They make the critical mistake of thinking that once they've got the girl, the job is done. They stop doing all the things that made them attractive in the first place. They stop being mysterious and become an open book. They stop having their own life and start revolving their world around hers. They stop being a challenge and become predictable and easy. And what happens? Slowly, subtly, she stops chasing. She feels like the game is over. The puzzle is solved. She might still love you, but that exciting, electric feeling of desire begins to fade. Women don't lose interest because you aren't a good person. They lose interest because the dynamic that made them feel that intense pull in the first place has disappeared. To maintain her pursuit long term, you must internalize this truth. The chase never really ends. This isn't about being fake or manipulative. It's about creating a dynamic where she always feels, on some level, that winning your full, undivided attention is an ongoing process. Women love the thrill of pursuing a man who doesn't just hand himself over completely, even in a committed relationship. This requires a constant balance between closeness and distance. You must give her moments of incredible warmth, intimacy, and focused attention. But you must also be able to pull back, just enough to remind her that you are still your own man. That she doesn't fully own you. That is what keeps her on her toes. A woman will never fully desire a man she feels she has complete control over. She needs to feel a little bit of healthy uncertainty, not insecurity, but the sense that she is lucky to have your attention and that she could lose it if she stops bringing value to your life. You also have to keep growing. The man she started chasing isn't just the guy who gave her butterflies in the beginning. He's the man who continues to evolve, to learn, to achieve, and to challenge her. If you get comfortable and stagnate, while she continues to grow as a person, she will outpace her attraction for you. But if you keep improving yourself, deepening your purpose, and building your empire, she will keep chasing because she will always see you as rare, valuable, and slightly ahead of her. And finally, understand that women will never stop testing you. Those little tests, her being moody, her challenging your opinion, her pulling away, they aren't to annoy you. They are subconscious checks to confirm that you are still the strong, grounded man worth chasing. If you pass them by staying calm, unaffected, and leading through the turbulence, her attraction will deepen. If you fail by getting emotional, overreacting, or becoming needy, her respect for you will slowly erode. The chase doesn't end. Not if you know how to keep the fire alive. Make her continuously earn your best. Keep her guessing. And most importantly, stay true to the man you were before she even entered your life. That is how you maintain her pursuit. Not for weeks or months, but for years. So, after everything we've covered, after breaking down all the psychology, the tactics, and the mindsets, what is the one single truth you need to walk away with? It's this. Women do not fall hardest for the man who gives them everything up front. We don't fall for the man who is the easiest to get, the most available, or the most predictable. We fall for the man who makes us chase. Attraction isn't built when things are convenient and comfortable. It is forged in the fire of challenge. It's built when a woman feels, on a deep, instinctual level, that she has to earn you. When she sees that your attention is a valuable resource, not an infinite commodity. And when she realizes, with a subtle sense of panic, that you won't just hand yourself over without her bringing her best to the table. Throughout this breakdown, we've uncovered the real language of attraction. It's not a language spoken in flowers or fancy dinners. It's a language spoken in the power of scarcity, the quiet confidence of silence, the intoxicating pull of mystery, and the unwavering strength of a man who is not afraid of being alone. This was never about being distant, cold, or manipulative. It was always about being a man of such high value that you have the courage to let your actions speak for themselves. It's about knowing your worth so completely that you are unafraid to create the space for her to see that worth, too. And when you finally master this, the entire dynamic of your dating life will change forever. You will stop being the guy who chases endlessly, sending double texts into the void, hoping for scraps of her attention. You will stop wondering why she doesn't see how great you are. Instead, you become the man she thinks about when she's alone at night. The man she tells her friends about, trying to figure you out. The man she invests in, the man she tries to win, the man she is genuinely, terrifyingly afraid of losing. That is the moment the true power dynamic shifts. Suddenly, you're no longer questioning her interest. She's questioning yours. So remember this, keep your edge, keep your mystery, and keep evolving. Never forget that the chase doesn't end once she's yours. The men who hold on to that burning attraction long-term are the ones who understand that women don't want a man they can completely control. We want a man we have to keep earning. That is how you become unforgettable. That is how you win.